Okay, well, welcome. My name is Brianna McWilliam, and I am very excited to welcome Amelia here, who has graciously offered to share her question and her exploratory process with us here today. Welcome, Amelia.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Sure. So I am going to read a bit of what you submitted with your question, and then I will just ask if you'd like to add to or modify or correct any of that, and then we'll dive into our exploratory process for today.
Perfect.
So you had mentioned that your primary question is around how to approach dating as a single mom when you have three children with you full time.
Correct.
And there were a few details you shared. The ones that stood out to me were that you were raised Catholic, fairly
Mhm.
strict Catholic upbringing, and you had a child pretty young, around 18 years of age, and wound up getting married to the father,
Mhm.
and then were married for 8 to 10 years, I think you said, and
Yeah, we
had
were married 8
yeah,
and yeah, we were together 10 about
okay.
total. Yeah,
And then you had those three children are from that marriage,
correct. Yep.
and they are all 11 years and older. That's correct?
11 to 15. Yep.
11, 15. Okay.
Mm.
Um, you did get married a second time for a short period of time, but because during that time your mom wound up having cancer and you wanted her to see you settled and happy before she passed. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then when it comes to dating, it's been somewhat difficult because partners that you've encountered feel like it's hard to date you because they feel like they can't do things spontaneously, that overnights have to be planned in advance, and then they feel guilty for asking you to do that. And you also want the early relationship experiences too, but you mentioned it's a freedom that you've rarely experienced in adulthood and wish you understood that better. And also you can feel disappointed because you don't want to feel like a victim to your circumstances, which fair enough, right? I wanted to ask if there's anything that you want to add to this or that you want to clarify or maybe hone in on in our discussion here together.
Honestly, I think you really captured the whole picture really well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So as we move into the discussion, I have just a few questions for you. First, do I have permission to ask direct questions and to be direct with you?
sure.
Okay. Um, are you open to exploring this question from a creative place, even if it seems off topic at first?
I think that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can I trust you to let me know if you don't want to answer a question that I might ask, or there's something that you would like to stop or shift direction?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. What would you say your spiritual beliefs are now?
Um They they're there. They're
Mhm,
not, defined by a religion or anything with a very strict structure,
mhm,
um, but I do believe in, you know, signs and synchronicities and the universe guiding me in
mhm.
certain directions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you believe in things like spirit guides or guardian angels or animal spirits or things like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So the experiential I thought we might do today is playing with a kind of channeled drawing meditation and then dropping what we experience into the heart, calling in a guide and asking your question.
Okay,
And we'll see what emerges in that experience for you. And then I'll pull you out of the practice and we'll process a little bit before we close.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay. And you mentioned you have some drawing materials with you already. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So there's a couple ways we can do this. I have my own ideas, but I want to ask you first. What one way we can do it is we can start in the inner space and we can pull something out, or we can start with an external exploration or pull something in. And when I give you those two options, do you notice your body responding one way or the other? Does one sound more appealing than the other?
Hmm. I would say external in. At least that's seems to
Sure.
work better
Yeah,
for
sure.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I might have you, we're gonna go into just a little body check. We're just gonna scan the body a little bit first to ground us, and then we're gonna do a external creative exercise.
Mhm.
So I invite you just to let your eyes drift closed for just a moment. We're not going to do a deep trance. We're just going to do a quick scan, noticing that with every inhalation, your lungs expand, your ribs expand. There is a spaciousness that opens up inside your body. And we turn our attention to this spaciousness, this vastness that exists inside of you, a landscape that includes so much information about who you are, about your spirit, about what will put you in alignment with your curriculum here on this earth, with the love that you want to feel. And as you breathe, just becoming increasingly aware of that space, you might drop some roots down from the soles of your feet, allowing them to move down through the floorboards of your home, through the building, down through the layers of rock and crust and soil, all the way down to the earth's molten core. And there, Mother Earth is so happy you came. She takes your roots and she wraps them around her core and she says, "Oh, I've been waiting for your invitation." And she sends you up all the nourishment that you need for this practice. And on your next breath in, you feel that nourishment spilling into your legs, from the soles of your feet, your toes, up past your ankles, your calves, your shins. The next breath in, coming up past your knees, your thighs, your buttocks. Breathing again, pulling it into your sacrum and pelvic region. I call this your sacred bowl, your center of gravity. And here it's going to hold you nice and steady and secure to the earth. And from this place, we're going to open up our crown. And we're going to invite any energy that has escaped above the head. It's safe now to come down and to really reside in your body, giving us full access, full permission. Being fully present in the moment. And from this grounded and present place, we're going to call to mind your question. And I'm going to rephrase it just a little bit. What would serve my highest good when it comes to dating at this time? So what would serve my highest good when it comes to dating at this time? And I'm going to allow you to just do a scan of your body from crown to toe and locate, where does that question exist in the landscape of your body? And I might have you place a hand there once you find it. Okay. Very good. So thank you for letting us know.
Mhm.
And I might have you imagine now, we're going to call that energy from your third eye. I think of this as your third eye,
Yep.
or the head space, We're going to invite that energy into your hands. We're going to give it a little invitation. I invite you to titrate that energy into my hands so that we can have a conversation with it. We can explore this question. We can explore all dimensions of it.
Mhm.
So I might have you raise your hands up like this. Just kind of open and flex them a little bit. You might shake them. We're just going to imagine that energy from your crown moving into your hands, down the length of your shoulders, your arms moving into your hands. And I'm going to let me know when it's good and right to stop, when you feel like it's there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
There? Okay, good.
Mhm.
So now I'm going to have you take one of your drawing utensils, one in each hand.
Okay.
And on your drawing surface, you're going to create a scribble using both hands. And you might try crossing the midline of your body too, because this helps bilateral integration of the brain, accessing both parts of the mind. And you're just going to draw a scribble until it feels good and right to stop. And I'm going to wait for you to tell me when that is.
Okay.
Mhm. Now, I might have you gaze into that scribble. And imagine that similar to the way we might look in the clouds and say, oh, that cloud looks like this shape, or this cloud looks like that shape. I might have you look into your scribble and notice if you find a recognizable shape.
It looks like a hook with like, I don't know, almost like a coat hook like this, but it has like extra things coming off of it.
Sure.
That
All
makes
right. So I might have you use your drawing utensils to flesh that out a little bit, to kind of pull it out of the tangle.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's a weird thing for me to find.
Well, maybe you're on the hook for a lot of things.
Maybe.
Mhm.
It doesn't look like it, but in my brain, it makes sense.
Would you mind holding up to the camera so I can see?
Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
So this part right there would be the hook,
Mhm.
but I'm not, and then there's the things coming off of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what do you imagine some of those things might be?
The two things going off of it.
Mhm.
Um, it's almost like I imagine it like thorns. Like so you put
Mm.
like if you're hanging like a coat or a towel, it like is like trapping it in there.
Ah,
That's
yes.
the that's what came to my mind when I was first
Sure.
finding it, but I don't
Sure.
know that I've ever seen that exactly.
Yeah.
I
Hmm. This is a hook that when you hang things on it, it gets trapped.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay.
Interesting.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. So we might try dialoguing with this first.
Okay.
So the first question, so I call this non-dominant dialogues. And basically it's when we ask a question with our dominant writing hand, and then we answer the question with the non-dominant, as if the hand is answering for you, as if it's answering on behalf of your hook. Right.
Yep. Yep.
So I might have you ask the question. We usually start with the simplest one, which is, what is your name?
Okay.
Mhm.
And write that out.
Sure.
Okay. And then go ahead with my
Yeah. And
non-dominant.
then exactly. And with your non-dominant, you can just allow an answer to come out as much as you can.
Okay.
Well,
Would
you
you
had
like
an interesting expression there.
So when I start writing with my non-dominant hand, I usually have to like write a couple words before I get to the answer.
Mhm.
But I just wrote my name is Soul, Soul. I just, yeah, thought that was
Well, nice to
interesting.
meet you, Saul.
Hmm.
Hmm. So we might start with another rather broad question.
Mhm.
Um, how do you help me, Saul?
Okay. Um, the answer was I help you to not get lost.
Hmm. Where and how do I get lost?
Um, so I started the sentence I wrote, you get lost, and then it says, well, you think you are lost all the time.
Hmm. Mm. And
That's
what
what
is the help that is offered?
hmm. I can't tell if my brain took over on that one or if it was coming from my,
Or maybe
from
you're just getting more practiced. Sometimes it just becomes easier because you're getting more practiced.
maybe. Yeah. So the answer was help offered includes knowing you are safe.
Mm.
And the next word would have been and fine, safe
Mm.
and fine, but I didn't write that one out.
Sure, safe and fine. Hmm. And what would you have me know about this hook?
Um, I don't know if this is normal, but like I'll be writing and I don't know where it's going, but then the whole message comes at once before I finish writing it out. So,
Wonderful.
um, but I wrote out this hook, and then what came to me was represents where you trap yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. How might I escape this trap?
Mm, that's a good question.
Mhm.
Um, this is kind of funny. So I went to write what you
Mhm.
need, and when I was writing it, my instead of YOU, it did like an A, and then I was like gonna go back to like fix it, and so it was like what yeah need to do is stop fixing things and let them be broken.
Mm,
So I thought that was funny with the
yeah,
that
little personality coming through.
yeah, yeah. And
So
then
how,
me fighting that too. Like I was like, go back and fix that. And then like
yeah,
no. And then it yeah. So
and you're touching your mouth.
yeah. I don't know why though.
I find myself wondering about the needing to fix.
Mhm.
Mm. And then I also find myself wondering, the mouth and the throat, at least if we look at this through the framework of the Hindu chakra system, is about voice. It's about expressing what's inside, like what's
Yeah.
ours to express. And so that makes me wonder if part of being a fixer is also involves a suppression of self or a suppression of voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
When we were first sinking into the body, that's what was tight the whole time. Was my
Mm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it
Okay.
eased a little bit, but it was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a sound that wants to come out?
Do you want me to
You might
imagine?
ask, or I might wonder if if the hook was
Mhm.
in the mind. Yes, and then it connects to the throat.
Ooh,
I wonder if there's a sound that maybe the hook might want to make. Or now
like
you're touching your chest. Do you feel
open my
something
heart
moving
up.
down? Mm.
Yeah.
A fishing hook. It is a symbol, so it might have
Like
multiple meanings.
yeah, like pulling something out.
Hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. The fishing hook did cross my mind too, which the thorns make sense in that.
Yeah.
Well, like because
Yeah,
there
they
are
have
like
like little
sharp
thorns on
things.
them. Yeah.
Yes, yes. That's interesting. Yeah. Because I would say like physically it does feel more down here. I mean,
Mm.
this is still tight, but
Yeah.
it's more connected in this area now too.
Yeah.
Like the energy has evened out, like it's spread.
Mm.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Or your attentiveness to it has maybe made you more aware of the edges of it, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think we might still play with this externally.
Yeah.
If this hook were a fishing line,
Mhm.
on your image, what if it were to catch something in here?
Mm,
Maybe, and this could be a new scribble.
okay. Yeah.
So you might try that way. It could be a new page, or you could do it on the same scribble, whatever feels good to you.
Okay. So are you saying, just for clarification, are you saying to look, because I wrote questions on top of the scribbles. Are you saying to like find another picture in
Well, we
there
could create a new scribble.
or create it on a blank sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That way you get to keep your questions.
Okay. That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. I'll
So
do
we're
different.
dropping, yeah, we're dropping that fishing line now. We're going to drop the hook
Okay.
down here. And we might call that energy now into the hands.
Okay.
Incidentally, I'm pushing you a little because you seem to be a bit more adept at this than most people are. So
Mm,
I'm pushing
nice.
you a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. If it's too much, just let me know. Okay.
No, I love this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to pull that into the hands, and I invite you to, you can open and close your hands, shake them. You might even rub them together if that feels good. And until you feel like that energy has moved into the hands so we can have a chat with it, I ask you to tell me when that is.
Okay. It's faint, but it's there.
It's faint, but it's there. Okay.
Yeah.
We will accept faint.
We will, yes, we will.
So I again invite you to create a scribble on the page. And again, you can move until it feels good and natural to stop.
Okay.
All right. And as you gaze into that tangle, is there a shape that stands out to you?
And am I inviting my brain to connect it to the one before, or just whatever it finds?
Let's suspend interpretation at first and just first, yeah, take a look at what's there. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you see?
The shape kind of reminds me of like Snoopy, kind of like it's looks like a dog's face with
Mhm.
the ear. I don't see both ears. I just see one eye and one ear, and then like the round nose. It
Yeah.
seems like way too round
Yeah.
and big.
So I might invite you to maybe outline that a little bit, kind of pull it from the tangle.
Okay. I'm I'm not an artist, but that's the nose. Like there's the eye,
I can
and
see it.
that's the ear in my mind. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right. And we're going to do a slightly different process for this one.
Okay.
So for this one, I might have you just take a snapshot of that drawing in your mind's eye.
Hmm.
And we are going to bring this one in.
Okay.
So I invite you to find that comfortable spot. I'm going to let our eyes close for a moment and take a breath. And just remembering your roots that are already connected to the ground. Remembering that our crown is open with every breath, acknowledging that spacious landscape inside. And we're going to start in the brow. We're going to join soul in the third eye. And soul is going to be our guide for this journey. Soul led us down this path. Thank you, soul, for bringing us here. And in your mind's eye, you might imagine that you are in a theater house, like a movie theater. And this is your personal movie theater. And soul is there next to you. And on the screen, we are going to project that Snoopy image that you found. And with the breath, we're just going to breathe some life into that image as if you're pressing play, allowing the animation to come alive, and just observing what movement unfolds, how the movie unfolds. And I'm going to have you keep your eyes closed, and I will be asking you a couple of questions as we go through this visualization. So as you press play, what do you notice about the movement on the screen? What changes?
It's wavy, like some like a plant in the wind.
Like a plant in the wind. Does your Snoopy character have a name?
Marigold.
Marigold. Pleasure to meet you, Marigold. Thank you. And where does Marigold like to live in the landscape of your body?
Maybe here.
Mm.
I feel like tightness here, so I don't know,
Mhm, mhm.
but it doesn't feel like it's living there.
Okay. How does Marigold help you?
Feels like a sense of like dancing alone, like a flowing
Mm.
feeling alone.
Is there a picture that Marigold would like to put on the screen for you?
The first thing that comes up is like a darkness, but it's like off in the distance.
Mhm,
And it takes up maybe like a quarter of the like left side of the
mhm.
screen.
Okay.
Um, and it's a very like strong line between that darkness and like the light of everything else.
Mhm. Is Marigold afraid of the darkness?
Yeah.
Mhm. Does she guard, or does Marigold guard the darkness?
I think she tries to forget that it's there.
Mhm. Okay. And we might ask Soul now as a guide for you in this process.
Mhm.
Is there a gift that we might offer Marigold?
The the picture that comes to mind is like the hook coming down to her, and
Mm-hmm.
then she like hops on there and goes closer to the
Mm-hmm.
darkness, but she's not alone.
Mm-hmm. And what are you noticing you're feeling in your body right now as that image comes up?
I'm my my legs are going side to side, like kind of like this imaginary walking. And that started around the darkness part.
Mhm.
Um, like there's energy like moving kind of like I can't tell if it's like side to side or just like going center out.
Sure. Would you say it's an opening or a closing?
It's resistance but slight opening.
Okay. Mhm.
And it feels like a warming up of the legs to like run away if
Mm-hmm.
needed, you know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask one more thing of you, and then we're going to gently release the practice.
Okay.
So I feel we are coming to the edge of that window.
Hmm.
I'm going to ask you to hum or make a sound.
Hmm.
Mhm. And now I'm going to ask you to make that sound again and open your mouth.
Okay.
How does that feel?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Would you like to do one more?
Sure.
And maybe one more. I might have you place a hand on your brow.
Okay.
One
Just
hand on, yep, one hand on your brow where we started. And
okay.
let's place a second hand on your chest where we landed.
Okay.
We'll do one more moan
Okay.
together. Are you ready?
Hmm.
When you're ready.
Uh,
Yeah. And take a breath and just, you can release anything that needs to be cleared. How is our marigold doing
pretty good. She's still on the hook.
on the hook? That's okay.
Yeah. She's just kind of like standing, holding on to it, but
That may be enough for now.
mhm,
So we might say thank you to Marigold,
mhm,
and we're going to press stop on that movie for now, but we can always come back to it in the future if you'd like to.
mhm.
And we might turn to Soul and ask if Soul has any last guidance or wisdom for you. And if Soul would be so willing to relate it to our original question about what would serve my highest good when it comes to dating at this time.
You don't feel free yet, but that's because you're not ready to feel free.
Mm,
That was the first thing.
mhm,
You're doing okay. And it's like a more of a feeling than words, but like a feeling of when you're getting closer to the darkness. It's okay to just like stay open to whatever, like stay curious, I guess.
mhm, mhm,
Stay intrigued by it
mhm,
rather than scared of it.
mhm. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Soul. And so I might have you breathe into the chest where you are touching yourself at this time and releasing anything that doesn't serve, clearing out any energies. I suspect we might have had a clearing today.
Mhm.
And I invite you to take a snapshot of that experience in your mind and in your body. Remembering now to breathe, to bringing yourself back into the present moment, back into the room, back into your body. With every inhalation, just allowing that witnessing and that wisdom to become cell memory, body knowledge, And knowing that, trusting that in time, deeper layers of understanding will rise to your conscious awareness. And if action is required, you will know what to do. And so I'm going to count backwards from 5 to 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we can release that. Yeah. So I want to check in with you. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Like, and I found it interesting the hook coming from like the top of the screen. I mean, it could have gone anywhere. Like, it could have been like, let me
Mhm.
pull you, or, and it was like the guide
Mhm.
carried. Yeah.
Yeah. We could liken it to the nature of your question, which is what is serves my highest good when it comes to dating?
Mm.
Well, what serves your highest good is to go fishing into what you may need to discover about yourself.
Right.
And if there are things that you're afraid to look at, maybe it is finding a way to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
True. It's really fun. These are
Yeah.
fun. I think the original question I posed is like, how do I date as a single mom, right? Like, how do I do this? It's almost like I was coming to it with like a logistical, like, how do I logistically make this happen, right? And in some ways, maybe permission. Like, am I allowed to do this, right? I do have some mom guilt
Yeah.
around that for sure.
Yeah.
Where then I'm walking away feeling like the logistics aren't really the question. It's not really about the logistics, even though that is so hard. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's super
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Um, but it's about but something beyond that.
I
Yeah,
think you are very much on the money with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The logistics, you do have some challenges with your
yeah,
logistics. In the beginning, we talked about that a little bit. You mentioned I have some mom guilt, right?
yeah. Yep,
And you also have some complicated grief related to your own mother.
correct. Yeah,
So there maybe some of that might be lingering in the dark,
that is a really good point.
you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
Um, so there's a relationship between the guilt and what you might be willing to do when it comes to logistics, right?
Sure. Ooh, that's
So
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I think in a roundabout way, kind of like what you're saying is maybe those feelings you're having are going
mhm,
to impact your motivation, your willingness, your ability to creatively problem solve when it comes to that sort of more logistical stuff,
sure.
because you will think that is or is not possible, right?
Yeah,
So maybe I'm offering that as a reframe, as just something to play with as you continue having these conversations with yourself.
yeah. I
Mhm.
never. That's a huge blind spot. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
That's a really good connection.
Okay. Wonderful. With
Yeah,
that, I may bring our call to a close.
yeah.
Um,
Thank you so much.
I want to say thank you so much also for sharing your exploratory process with us. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
Yay! Thank you so much.
great.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Yes. Have a wonderful day.